Hello, everyone. Welcome to another NMP webinar. So excited for you to join us for today's webinar. Really exciting, webinar that we have presented to you, which is very different from the webinars that we normally bring you. Normally, we're talking about a concept, we're talking about a product, we're talking about something actually, to kind of, help you in your business. And while this, yes, this is going to help you in your business, but a lot of this is focusing on you helping your borrowers, helping actually the challenged clients to become mortgage ready. And let's call a spade, and with what we're facing with COVID-19, we've got a lot more challenged clients here. So we're really excited to bring you and present to you a new resource that is going to talk about our webinar, that is going to help you prepare those credit challenged clients to become mortgage ready. And with me, of course, you guys will see up on your screen, I've got my team here that's going to be presenting us and starting off here. Got Pam Marin. Pam, you hear us there?
Yep.
Fantastic. And we got Daniel Hughes.
Hello.
All right. We got Ellie Pepper.
Hello.
And we got Sean Moss. And so excited for everyone to join here today. So listen, just to get everyone used to, the functionality here. And before we get started, I want to tell everyone, and I'm doing this right now, I'm taking my phone. So I want to take your phone out, put it to do not disturb. Fantastic. Putting it on nighttime mode, do not disturb. Doing the same thing my watch. I always forget about that. So if everyone just take a couple of minutes, if you know the way we roll here at NMP webinars, we have you in and out inside of 60 minutes. So we're going to get to all of your questions. And with that in mind, I want everyone to become familiar with using that question box. So you should see on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a question box. Hopefully on the right-hand side, you'll see that question box. I want to get everyone used to using that question box, because we will try to answer all of your questions if possible. If we don't answer your questions live here, I promise you someone from Pam's team will get back to you. But I want everyone to become familiar with using that question box. So if you can, tell us what people already say what an awesome panel. So that's great way to. We already have great feedback. You guys haven't even talked yet. You haven't given any information. We're already getting great feedback. Thank you, Denise. So let's get used to using that question box. If you can, put that question box on the right hand side and type the city and state that you're connecting in. Please type the city and state that you're connecting in. All right, we got Ines coming in from Tampa, Florida. We got Debbie coming in from Hawaii. We got Carrie coming in from Seattle. We got Tina coming in from Atlanta. Desiree coming in from Atlanta. We got Tiffany coming in from Springfield, Missouri. We've got Sharon coming in from Decula, Georgia. We've got Kelly coming in from Birmingham, Washington. We've got another person from Hawaii. Got Darnell coming in from Hawaii. Iris Sid coming in from Austin, Texas. We've got Richard coming in from Boston, Massachusetts. We've got Patty coming in from Tucson, Arizona. We've got anyone here from New York? No one from New York. No one in New York ever goes in. Everyone in New York knows everything already. So we've got Denise coming in from Kissimmee, Florida. And let's see, we got Vivette coming in from Sanford, Florida. We've got, that's right, Janice coming in from Detroit. So cool. Thank you so much for joining us. So listen, I'm sorry I didn't call out everyone's names. There's no way we would be here most of the webinar if we did that. So without further ado, I'm going to, Pam, I'm going to pass the baton over to you. I'm going to change the slides over to you. Here it comes, ready or not. All right, hold on for a sec. Just finding your name on the screen, and there we go. Pam, in 3, 2, 1, there's your cue.
There we go. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yep, there it is, beautiful.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming in. We've got a big group here and we're going to get started. You've already had introductions and we're going to go to the the first screen here. Why was
Hey,
clients
Pam.
to home? Yeah.
Hey, if you wouldn't mind, just can you go back to that introduction screen? I just want everyone to understand actually the power of everyone that's on it. I didn't go down actually the individual list, so go down so we see actually who Daniel is, who Ellie is, who Sean is, because we have some very, very powerful people here. So everyone just on your screen, you'll understand actually the power of who we have on this panel. This is not actually just, I mean, if we had just Daniel on this would be a powerful thing. If we had just Sean on this, it would be a powerful thing. If we had just Ellie on this would be a great webinar. And obviously Pam, if it was just you. But that being said, we've got this entire panel that's going to present. So take it away, Pam. I'll sit quiet for a little bit here.
Okay, and the contact information for all of us will be on the very last screen. So why was the clientstohomeowners.com website started? And this webinar is going to tell you about this clientstohomeowners.com resource website. This was started in 2016. Both Ellie and I were appointed to the HUD Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee, which had 3 mortgage professionals, 3 real estate agents, 3 housing counseling professionals, and 3 consumer advocates. And on this diverse committee, I learned how much housing counseling and certified credit counselors could assist our clients, our challenged clients. So the very first meeting, we met the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, or the nfcc.org. And this is an organization that supports and promotes certified credit counseling that works with HUD housing counseling agencies. And at that time in 2016, we had just come off of the housing crisis, and I was involved in getting correction for an accurate foreclosure code that was showing up on past short seller credit. And that was preventing these short sellers who were able to get a mortgage after 4 years. It was stalling their reentry to a conventional loan for 7 years with the foreclosure code. So I was really hyped up on what help could we get with credit issues. And at that point, I decided I'm gonna learn everything about this NFCC and see how we can join them and utilize their services with the housing counseling agencies. But credit wasn't the only issue. Sorry, guys. Credit wasn't the only issue. Resources for available down payment assistance were really needed. And a lot of people needed funds to get into a home. And what funds were out there, if they were even available, where they were at, and if they'd even let an independent loan originator like myself use them, was always a task to find out. So we felt that getting down payment assistance into this resource site would be of great benefit to loan originators, realtors, and the clients. And then home budgeting. This was something that was born out of our experiences we were having with the millennials, who oftentimes they didn't have credit. We had to help them build credit. They looked at bank statements on a phone, and frankly, many of them felt getting a home was hopeless. But they were also very enthused when we told them that there might be an option for them to learn how to get into a home. So these 4 pieces are what formed this stool of the effort to connect housing counselors to loan originators and real estate agents for the benefit of our challenged clients. So you see the legs of the 4-legged stool, and we're going to show you how you can connect the 2 housing counselors, whether you're a loan originator or a realtor, for the benefit of of a challenged client. The first issue that we wanted to tackle was help with credit. And These 4 items that you see, correcting credit, improving credit scores, building credit, and refining student loans, those are things that you will find that a certified credit counselor can assist your clients with. But there are 2 levels of credit counseling that you need to be aware of. There's short-term credit help that can usually be done within 1 year, and the 4 areas are mentioned there. But additionally, there's long-term credit help that can take 1 to 5 years to accomplish. And that can include debt management, debt consolidation, student loan default refinancing, and bankruptcy modification and foreclosure counseling. The benefit of a certified credit counselor is that they can work with your client, with the creditor, and with the credit bureau to get issues resolved. And just in case you put a client into a housing counseling agency that had a credit counselor that was able to do the short-term credit help, but not the long-term credit help, what I have found is that the housing counseling agencies will work together. If they can't do it, they usually are going to refer that client to, Ellie, is it an intermediary that is an agency that would be able to take care of that? Is that an
Yeah,
intermediary?
different housing counseling agencies do different things. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but when an agency can't provide a service, they'll often make a referral to another organization that can provide the service that's needed.
Okay. And the credit counselors are often going to just pull a soft pull credit, and they use credit tools like the Wayfinder and the What If Simulator. So why did we want down payment assistance resources to be added to this resource site? Well, there's quite a few answers to that. First of all, wholesaler down payment assistance has become incredibly popular, and frankly, it's very highly competitive with our city and county SHIP and bond programs now, and it's available all year long. And the HUD housing counselors are aware of available down payment assistance programs in their area, so they can alert the clients and loan originators to programs that are available in the area. And then loan originators really need to be aware of the DPA, the down payment assistance underwriting criteria, that is usually different than the first mortgage underwriting criteria. So having these as benefits for down payment assistance is why we wanted to add the down payment assistance as a resource. And at the clients2homeowners.com site, there is a down payment tab, and under that tab are 3 sub tabs. And these 3 tabs, well, the first 2, city, county SHIP, and state DPA, and the proprietary wholesaler DPA, those have matrices from the companies for the proprietary wholesale DPA. The Chenoa Fund has information on what Chenoa funds can offer, and we are working with Chenoa funds to get their wholesalers on this site as well. But the city, county SHIP and state DPA is a pretty comprehensive list. I've only got Florida on the site so far, and would welcome any help from other states if you want to get your state on. But before we do that, we're going to let you hear about how this came about, and a very, very cool tool you're going to want to use for this. So I think that one other thing I wanted to tell loan officers on down payment assistance, and then I'm going to hand this over to Daniel and Sean Moss. 2 things. Loan officers, always, before you talk to clients about down payment assistance, contact your city and SHIP programs to find out if you, the loan originator, and your client and your real estate agent have to be approved for the DPA program before you can even reserve funds. And also check those DPA guidelines because they're usually different than your first mortgage guidelines. And with that, I'm going to switch this back over to you, Andrew.
Fantastic. And I think we're going to hit our first poll now. So I'm going to just, I'm curious right now. I'm going to launch a poll. So on your screen, you should see what is the most common issue that prevents your clients from proceeding with a mortgage? You know, is it credit issues? Is it lack of funds, getting rid of debt, or others? So we're going to keep this open for a little bit. I want to see, actually, right now we only have about 12% of the room that's voted. We're going to keep this open till at least we hit 50%. So keep those votes coming in. And we're already at 40%. So another 10%. Yep, that's you. I'm talking about you, the person next to you who just went to Outlook and has got sucked into an email. Put the email down, come back into this webinar, and let's refocus. And we're at 52%. So fantastic. I'm going to share the results here, and I'm going to close the poll. All right. You guys see the results of the poll on there? Pam?
I
Yes.
don't.
Yes, I see
Okay.
them.
I see him down there.
So I'm gonna read them to everyone here, and I'm gonna actually right now we're gonna stop. Oh, okay, hold on for a sec. So yeah, right now you'll see credit issues is the number one issue. Credit issues is the number one issue, coming in at 53%. 38% is lack of funds. 38% lack of funds. 8% getting rid of debt, and 2% other. So. Pam, what's your thoughts? Do you think this is in line with what you thought that what we were going to see?
Absolutely.
And fantastic. All right. So, and I believe actually, Daniel, I'm giving you the controls
It'll
now.
go over to Sean's going to go over and share his screen. I'm just going to go ahead and start with, while you give Sean the screen and what's going on. So we see the second poll result is lack of funds, and that's going to lead us right to our next part with Sean is how to find those funds. Like Pam said, a big part of this was the down payment portion. A lot of people, for a loan originator like myself, one of the biggest hurdles is funds to close, down payment. So, they might already have the credit. We're not talking just low credit people. We're talking people that might already have established credit, might have their budget in place, have a good job, but just don't have the down payment. And that's where Sean and his team comes into place to actually help you find these resources for down payments, no matter where you're at worldwide. And I know Sean's going to go over his screen here and kind of do a quick introduction with the down payment resource. But it's a tool real quick that I learned about just very recently, and it's a game changer for myself as a loan originator. So there's a lot of tools, a lot of things inside that we're going to go over here in a minute. And Sean, if you want to go ahead and share your screen with the Down Payment Connect, and just tell us a little bit about what Down Payment Resource and Down Payment Connect is.
Yeah, so our company is called Down Payment Resource, and our founder and CEO, Rob Crane, his vision was to make it easier to find and track and monitor and maintain information about state housing finance agency programs for down payment help, cities, counties, nonprofits, bond programs, all of the homebuyer programs across the country. So I will say we're not quite worldwide yet, but we are nationwide. We cover every state, every city, every market, every program that provides down payment or closing cost assistance, and we do that nationwide. And then we help match borrowers or prospective borrowers or home buyers to those programs available where they want to buy a home. So we didn't come up with this, but we've been called Match.com for DPA, help matching prospective buyers with the financial assistance that's out there to help them.
So how does, as a loan originator or real estate agent, what are some of the ways that they can utilize Down Payment Connect? Why don't you go into Down Payment Connect and show us how, this tool really works? Sure.
So at its core, Down Payment Connect is a way for real estate agents and loan officers to supplement their marketing, their education efforts, and their lead generation efforts with the ability to provide down payment search capability to their clients, to their prospects. So I'm just on our product page here, but to give you a feel for what Down Payment Connect gives a real estate agent or a loan officer, it gives you a unique landing page, unique to you, the individual subscribing realtor or LO. And that landing page can be pushed out to consumers through your social media marketing, your email marketing, on your website, or elsewhere. And it allows the consumer, first of all, to find out that these programs even exist. And that's sort of step one in the education flow, if you will. We have to let buyers know that down payment does not have to be the obstacle that prevents home ownership. There are solutions. There are low down payment mortgage options, and if you couple those with down payment assistance, suddenly the doors open for vastly more prospective home buyers to consider and explore home ownership. So that's what we want to do, and we want to enable the real estate agent and the loan officer to do so by giving them a lead generating tool. So the consumer doesn't get all the information about these down payment programs, but they start that search, they find out that the opportunity is out there, and they connect with that real estate agent or that loan officer to take the next step, which really is to continue that dialogue to explore home ownership and explore down payment options. So there are some other tools and features that come with this. It's not just about lead generation. It really is about education. It's about marketing and about supporting you in that effort. And I think we'll get into that here in a moment.
Yeah, so show us. So one of the things when I first got to this, it actually showed me what was available. Just like you said, we might not even know as loan originator what's even out there, what programs are in my county, in my community, and so forth that are even available to me. So to start as a loan originator, not even just to maybe utilize the branding and the marketing and so forth that comes along with it, but just to say what's around me, show them how that part works, where they could just put in an isolated location and results come back.
Yeah, so let's say you were to subscribe as a loan officer. You get access to your Down Payment Connect dashboard. I'll show you the consumer experience and what that lead generation piece looks like, but it comes with a dashboard of other tools, and you get a little info about what the consumer experience looks like, and I'll walk you through that. You have the ability to report on the performance of your Down Payment Connect landing page. But what Daniel's getting at here is, for loan officers who subscribe to this product, we provide you with a directory of all of the programs across your state. Now, in this demo mode, I have it set to Florida. There are over 250 programs in Florida, and you have access to vast amounts of detail about all of these programs. So, for example, here's a local state-funded program these are funds passed down from the state to sort of entitlement cities, but it's a local municipal down payment program. How many dollars do you get? How do you contact the program provider? Links to the provider's website. How is it funded? What are the limitations? What's the formula for DPA? How is it repaid? Household eligibility and income limits, property eligibility and purchase price limits. And so I'm scratching the surface there, but that level of detail is available for every bond program, every municipal program, every city, every county. So you can explore the programs and products that are out there. And I'll also point out, we identify those that are wholesale eligible. So for brokers, for example, here's just one of the many programs we've identified that are eligible through wholesale channels so that brokers can access. So we identify whether it's retail only, wholesale only. In this case, here's a wholesale program brokers can access, presuming that you're working with that wholesale partner, right? So we go to great lengths to make sure the door is open to brokers as well. And then the crux of the tool, of course, being to enable the consumer to find down payment programs. You also have the ability to identify those that you have access to or participate in, so that when a consumer does a search, you're ensuring that they will see only those programs that you actually can originate or have access to and can help them with.
So go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was going to say, you want me to cover a couple other features, or?
As for the LO side, yeah, I mean, as somebody who's got it, I know the first thing I did right away was the marketing resources. Put the links onto my website, onto my email signatures, social medias, and that's the thing, I think, a huge tool as well. I know that was the first thing that I went to after approving my list of DPA. Next was the marketing of how do I get this out in front of people?
Yeah, and so in fact, I'll show you this real quick, because you mentioned after you identify those programs that you have access to or participate in, you can also do searches for, let's say you have a client coming in the door, they want to buy a home in Orlando or anywhere, wherever in your market. You can plug in what you learn about them, price, if you pulled credit, do they own a home, are they a first-time home buyer? If you got income docs and you calculate income, you could plug that in. And you can do these searches to see what's available. You can compare results. You could drill down into the details of each of these programs. You can compare a bond program to a city program, to a TBA program, to a broker product, and so forth. And that's your sort of back office eligibility search. And that may help with clients that come in through other means, from a real estate partner, from a builder, and so forth. But yeah, the crux of the tool being marketing, education, and awareness among consumers. We want to help loan officers and real estate agents promote DPA, but also promote their Down Payment Connect search form, so that you can generate the eyeballs and the interest and the dialogue with consumers who may not otherwise have reached out, but having learned that down payment help is out there, and that perhaps they're closer to home ownership, or it's more, they could realize home ownership sooner than they thought. We want to incentivize them to reach out. So we provide graphics packages, social media formatted images, customizable flyers, including Spanish language flyers that you can add your contact info and branding to. And then we've got video tutorials. I can't go through all of this, excuse me, right now, but we've got video tutorials for how to get started, tips and tricks for using the tool. We also have a Facebook group, which is Down Payment Insiders. It's just a group of thousands of real estate agents and loan officers around the country that do work with first-time homebuyers and work with DPA programs and program providers, sharing best practices, sharing obstacles and challenges and the solutions they devised. And then the last feature I'll point out here, I think one of the most important ones and new to the Down Payment Connect package, is this social media training module. And we worked with the social media experts at MGIC to put this out. It's about an hour long, but it's a deep dive into several social media platforms, specifically about how to use Down Payment Connect and optimize that consumer experience and your reach to the consumer through various social media platforms. So I'll pause there for a moment, Daniel.
Cool.
Yeah. One of the things that that you and I, when we first started talking, Sean, is a lot of loan originators are going to look for ways that this could bring exposure to them, right? How do I might be able to generate more leads or generate a buying class that I'm not part of? And that was one thing that drew me to this. Was I am currently not offering down payment assistance, because as a wholesale broker, I was never really privy to what was available. And then when I started getting into this, it was like, okay, there's so much more. And now your tool is saying, well, here, not only can you find what's available, now you can put it out to the consumer base to say, hey, this is what's available. But for some of we probably have some realtors on the call too. And I know you guys are integrated with some other systems as well. Why don't you explain a little bit about how you guys integrate, not just with the Connect, but with other systems too?
Yeah, well, and a great segue is integrating the supply chain. So one of the most common questions we get from real estate agents when we talk about down payment programs is quite literally, how do I find a loan officer who offers these programs? So to loan officers, we would say, you're not only broadcasting to consumers that these programs are out there and that you can help with them, you're also broadcasting that message to builder partners, potential real estate partners, because they're the ones looking for loan officers who understand, have access to, and can originate these programs and help their clients. In terms of where down payment resource works in that supply chain, we do have relationships with multiple listing services. We do some work with homebuyer education providers. We know there's a lot more we could be doing, and we aim to get a lot of that done. But we do integrate down payment assistance information into MLS platforms. We do that with a number of larger MLSs around the country. And then, of course, we work with retail lenders as well. This Down Payment Connect product is really for the individual loan officer to empower them to achieve the education, the lead generation, the marketing prowess that they're looking for.
Perfect. Well, Sean, I think you've covered a lot, and I think I'll pass it back over to Andrew.
Thank you.
That's powerful. That's great stuff. I mean, that's a great resource. I mean, I'm definitely curious about a lot of these states that really there's some great opportunities. Obviously, I'm always curious about New York, seeing what kind of resources we have in New York. I'm definitely going to go check this out later, and I think it's a really cool tool and a great lead generator. So very cool. So all right, we're gonna Pam. I think we're due for our next poll, right?
No, I think Ellie and Daniel are going into the home budgeting.
Oh, there I go. Okay, fantastic.
Uh,
So all right, so I'm giving control to. All right, hold on for a second. And all right. I'm looking for your name, and so Ellie, you're getting control now, right?
no, I'm getting it
No,
Okay,
because I've still got the PowerPoint.
wonderful. Okay, wonderful. So I'm looking over here. We have so many people on this webinar, it's hard to find your name. And there we go. You are getting it back.
Here we go. Okay.
Fantastic.
So listen, one of the things I just want to mention while we're getting to the slide that we need to be at, a lot of the down payment assistance programs that are available, particularly at the municipal level, flow through from the federal government, and they require some homebuyer education and or counseling, and Sean mentioned homebuyer education, and those are offered by HUD-approved housing counseling organizations, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about next. But I want to point out that as of right now, as a result of Dodd-Frank, all housing counselors, all HUD-approved housing counseling organizations have to have certified counselors. And those certification exams are being completed as we speak. And all HUD-approved organizations have to have at least one HUD-certified counselor on staff by August 1st, 2020. That may change because of the current crisis and the issue with the counselors being able to have access to test-taking facilities. However, one of the things to note about down payment assistance that flows from HUD down to the states and to the municipalities is that they will absolutely require certified housing counselors to provide the homebuyer education and or one-on-one counseling. So just to be thinking about that, if you're going to be looking at connecting your homeowners with down payment assistance programs, those that flow in that way from the federal government are going to require these certified housing counselors.
Got it. I'd like to say too that I did not know about down payment resource until Wanda Burling Thompson, a housing counselor, told me about it. And it's an incredible resource. So, and I know we've been working with you to get wholesalers and Chenoa well known on this site too, to help the independent loan originator side as well as all loan originators to know what's out there. So, and we're really excited to have you guys on board. And I think I got, I see the slide here, but Andrew, can you see my slide? You guys can see it? Okay.
Yep, I see budgeting and building for a home, especially for millennials.
Okay. All right,
so
Ellie.
I want to start by saying, because I kind of fall into this category, and I know there's a lot of people that will. And Pam, you kind of said it first, was when I was growing up, my parents took care of all the bills. I never really had to understand. I was never really taught how to balance a checkbook, how to manage my money in that sense. I was very fortunate. And as I got older and went through college, the same thing happened. And online banking became prevalent, and a lot of things where even at 33 years old, I'm still learning about how to fully, budget properly. And it was just something that I think got lost through generations. And I truly believe that there's a lot of people still that don't fully know how to budget. And as we're going to segment into this, Ellie, is that's a huge resource that housing counseling offers that a lot of people don't even know about. And I could say myself didn't know about just a few months ago that, you know, I'm not just going to housing counseling for down payment or credit. I mean, budget is probably the staple point of starting the whole thing of buying a home. So explain a little bit how the housing counselors approach budgeting.
Sure. So, you know, the budget is really kind of the linchpin of the counseling session, right? So first of all, it's a conversation about what is your income, what are you looking to do, what's your goal, and then trying to figure out what are the action steps that we need to achieve that goal. And always an action step is creating a budget. And that budget is about what money is coming into your house. And, you know, housing counselors will try to look at what's the real money coming in, not the gross income, right? A lot of things are calculated by gross income, but what we want to look at is the net income. What is the true dollars that are coming into the house? And then, you know, considering any side jobs that there might be, rent, you know, if somebody is a two-family household, you know, they own a two-family and they're getting rent, thinking about all of those different ways of money coming into the household. And then really putting pen to paper on what are all of the different costs. So there's the usual things, right? Your rent or your mortgage, any taxes, any insurance coverage, whether it's, you know, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, or, you know, medical insurance that you're covering. All of those typical monthly bills that everybody thinks about, your credit cards, your phone, your utilities. The things that people don't think about that counselors really work with folks on is, what are you spending on eating out? What are you spending on entertainment? What are you spending on clothes? What are you spending on gifts for your family? And really looking at bank accounts. Are you overdrafting and paying overdraft fees? Are you in a checking account or a savings account that's charging you fees? And maybe, is there a different account that you could get into that isn't charging you fees? Thinking about those little things like that, and trying to figure out, how do we help you figure out a way to start saving money? Because when somebody becomes a homeowner, particularly first-time home buyers, something that isn't always thought about is, I'm going to have to buy a bunch of new furniture. I'm going to need to maybe buy some appliances, some curtains, just like those little things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then also thinking about, when you become a homeowner, now you can't call your landlord to fix your hot water heater. You can't call your landlord if your front porch steps start to crack and need to be repaired. You have to do these things yourself. So thinking about budgeting for the maintenance of a home, if you're going to be owning it, that it isn't just you buy the house and boom, now life is grand, you're a homeowner. There's things that you need to be thinking about after you're a homeowner. And then, you know, also within the budget of becoming a homeowner, thinking about the escrow and the property tax, the school tax, the homeowner's insurance. Maybe you're in a situation where you're going to buy a home that's going to have some home the HOA fees or condo fees if you're going to buy a condo. So thinking about all of those things in the budgeting process and really helping people put all of those numbers together and start keeping track of what comes in and what goes out on a monthly basis.
I've even heard from a housing counselor that they've even recommended a client to sell their car and get rid of that car payment and, you know, just buy a car cash if they had that available, or even to a lower car. I mean, so you guys are going to the extremes in some instances to say, listen, we need to cut $1 everywhere we can. I mean, you guys are going line by line on everything they're putting out and saying, hey, you know, you might want that really nice Mercedes, but you need to cut it down to a Kia or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, what we see a lot more really are things like cell phone costs. You know, really trying to look at what are you spending on your cell phone and how can we reduce those costs? What are you spending monthly on your cable bill? The things that you stream. You know, right now a lot of us are surviving on streaming, right? But thinking about what is it that you really need to do and need to pay for, and you know, and kind of prioritizing your spending.
Well, perfect.
You know, and
Like I said, go ahead.
I'm sorry, if you're thinking about moving to an area that is pretty urban, do you need a car? Can you go without a car? Or if you have two cars, maybe you can go down to one, you know, like that.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of, you know, your guys aren't just, what you guys are doing is putting a lot of things in perspective for the buyer to say, hey, you might have to cut this if you really want to own a home and get, you know, moving forward in that portion. So yeah, I think it's great. And like I said, it was something that I'm still learning and can learn a lot from, for sure. And I know there's a lot of people out there too. So Pam, why don't you take back over and head on to the next portion of the housing counseling.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, well, this next piece is Ellie and me. This is the fourth leg of the stool too. And basically what we were looking at, and I think we grappled with this for the full 3 years we were on the committee and then afterwards, and that is an acceptable method of how loan originators could contribute towards housing counseling and credit counseling upfront. And this was important for two issues. Number one, HUD housing counseling agencies are nonprofit agencies, and they're not permitted to steer or promote any specific lender. And the other reason was that most clients of loan originators are above low to moderate income level clients, and those clients need to have housing counseling and credit counseling services paid for. So we had to develop this model of how could loan originators that wanted to work with housing counselors come up with a method of payment. And we realized that any method of payment or credit for a client provided by the loan originator had to be an incentive, because it needed to encourage the client to return to the referring loan originator. So that was the primary reason why we were looking at what to do, and we settled on using a fee-for-service model, and that was out of the HUD Model Funding Agreement and Spree Structures Handbook. And there's some benefits of the fee-for-service schedule. It allows originators that are coming from a bank to an independent loan originator or an independent mortgage company to continue utilizing housing counseling services for clients seamlessly. We've got the method. And it provides for the above low to moderate income clients and even below low to moderate income clients to be able to utilize housing counseling services and credit counseling services. And thirdly, it was an agreement between the loan originator and the client for a credit towards closing costs that the loan originator could give as an incentive to get that client, that returning client, back to the loan originator for their end mortgage. And the agreement is called a memorandum of understanding, and that's the written document for it. So there's two methods that we figured out how loan originators could pay for this housing counseling service. Either loan originators can commonly pay for either an appraisal or part or all of third-party processing fee, or in some cases, your mortgage company may even have an option for loan originators to save a portion of their earned commission to use towards client assistance. Ellie, this is yours. This is what you told me from the beginning in 2016. Here's the reason here's what loan originators that want to make that connection with housing counselors need to do. Take it away.
So one of the things that I think is important to talk about in the fee-for-service arrangement, first and foremost, is that this is relatively new for housing counselors to be thinking about engaging in fee-for-service arrangements. Typically, the way that housing counselors have engaged with lenders is through the regulated banks, the brick and mortar banks. And those brick and mortar banks are overseen and guided by the Community Reinvestment Act, which was instituted in 1977. And part of that states that, the basics of it is that banks have to utilize their funds, some of their funds, to invest in the neighborhoods that they do business in, particularly low to moderate income neighborhoods. And one of the ways that they realized that they could reach this population is with the help of HUD-approved housing counseling agencies. And so they made available through, as a response to the Community Reinvestment Act, they made available philanthropic type funding for nonprofit HUD-approved housing counseling agencies. So housing counseling agencies have this kind of long-standing relationship with brick and mortar banks for that reason. There was this, this Community Reinvestment Act that really kind of forced banks to consider ways to engage in those communities, and they saw housing counseling agencies as one of the ways. So I say all of that just to say, independent loan officers aren't beholden to the Community Reinvestment Act. It's not something that that guides, that it is something that you have to answer to. But it doesn't mean that it is not incredibly important to develop relationships with housing counseling agencies. And again, I'll go back to saying that building these fee-for-service arrangements is something brand new. It's, there aren't very many organizations that are really doing it. It's something that we are learning how to do. And so we're learning with you how to do this and how to make this work. And it's important that you as a loan officer find out in your area who are the HUD-approved housing counseling organizations, and reach out and start talking with them and start developing a relationship. There's different organizations and they do different work. Some organizations do rental counseling, and that's their biggest thing that they do. Some organizations do mostly pre-purchase counseling. Some organizations really focus on loss mitigation services. Some organizations do all of it, and they do all of it quite a bit. So it depends on the organization. Some organizations are teeny and there's maybe 2 people in the shop. Some organizations are larger and there's 15 or 20 people in the shop. So it all depends on what the organization is. So it's another reason to reach out and try to determine who is it that is in your area and what services do they provide and how can you coordinate with them. Some of the organizations are very hands-on. Some of them have a light touch. By hands-on, I mean really walking step by step through the mortgage process and the home buying process with a home buyer and really helping them every single step of the way. Other organizations are very light touch and will simply say, here's what you need to do next, come back to me when you're done. And some organizations do both, depending on the client that's in front of them. Some organizations, Pam mentioned that there are organizations that are HUD-approved housing counseling agencies that also do credit counseling. So there are some organizations that have certified credit counselors on staff. There are other HUD-approved housing counseling organizations that will do some moderate credit counseling, but if it gets into a need to do debt management, they'll refer the client out. Again, another reason to try to find out from in your area, what does your housing counseling agency offer and how can you work with them? And then again, there's the whole issue of rural versus urban. rural organizations versus urban organizations, and what is needed in those areas and what is offered by those organizations, and what capacity they have. Again, that has an issue. So I've said it a few times, and I'll just say it again because I think it's so important that it's imperative that you reach out to the local housing counseling agency in your area and talk with them and try to figure out how you can work together. One final thing I'll say about that, in the financial crisis, one of the things that housing counselors really learned was to be so careful about scams and about subprime mortgages on behalf of their clients. And so that's another reason why it's so important to build relationships, because the counselors are really first and foremost concerned about their clients and always on guard and on the lookout for any scam that might negatively impact their consumers. So that's the other reason why it's important to build a relationship so they know who you are and you can build trust with each other.
Thank you. And the reason I asked Ellie to tell you this, and there was such a variety there, is when we started on this path 3 years ago, I went to all of the housing counseling agencies in my Tampa Bay area, and none of them worked the same. And I was pulling my hair out, and I would go to Ellie and say, Ellie, I'm trying to set something up here, but I go to the next one and they, it's not the same. So understand that is going to be the case. So find an agency that you're comfortable with. Our resource tab is going to show you who we've started with, and we've had great success. I've got 13 people in housing counseling right now, and it's a perpetual list that they're getting help. The housing counselors are going to let me know when they're ready, and then I'm going to give them back to the client or to the realtors that either referred them to me or give them to a real estate agent, that I work with. But this is not a 1, 2, 3. It's a build the relationship, build the relationship, build the relationship. Thank you.
And listen, our goal, the goal of a housing counselor really is to get the client where they want to be. And in every step of the way, for the real estate agent, for the loan officer, no matter who is doing the loan, whether it's a bank or an independent loan officer, the goal is to help the homeowner and housing counselors can make your lives easier, because we'll chase down the documents. We'll chase down the things that can be difficult to get home buyers to bring to you. We'll make sure that they sign in the right place, that they dot all of their I's and cross all of their T's before they give you back what it is that you've asked for. So just to be clear, our goal is really to make the process as smooth as possible for everyone involved.
You guys, I'm just going to cut in here for a second. I've got a poll that's related to this topic here, so I'm just going to launch this right now. So have you, in the audience, have you worked with a housing or a credit counselor, not credit repair, but a housing or credit counselor? So please tell us if you have. Yes, this is great. You got to see the numbers here. So right now we've got about a third of the room has already voted. Keep those votes coming in. We're going to keep this open for another 30 seconds here. I'm sorry, not 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and keep it going. We have 45% of the room has already voted. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we are closed. And here we go. So we have sharing the results right now. So we have 73% of the room has not. 73% of the people that are here have not worked with a housing or credit counselor in the past. This is a great opportunity for everyone.
Huh.
Very cool. And everyone, keep your questions coming in. And we're going to be running tight on time. So if we don't get to your question, I promise someone from Pam's team will get back to you.
Pam, why don't you show them real quick, kind of the cycle that you have here in a minute, and then let's take a couple questions.
Got it. Okay. All right. We've got the steps here that real quick, loan officer knows that the client needs help. And then they refer them to the housing counseling agency, determine who's going to pay a client up front with the fee for service credit at the end, or the loan originator just pays for the service. Housing counselor assesses the client, and they give the loan originator and the client a probable time frame of when they're going to be mortgage ready, and if there's any down payment available. And the housing counselor then notifies the loan originator that the client is mortgage ready. At that point, the loan originator checks out any of the DPA that the borrower is eligible for. And then the loan originator refers the client back to the initial referring realtor, or gives that client to a realtor that they work with. And then finally, at closing, the best thing to do is let everybody in that room know that your client and you worked with a housing counselor, and that any client that they give to you, you're going to be able to assist as long as that client is ready to do the work to get mortgage ready. And with this is something that I feel is really important to be said. This is, I want to tell you guys, this service has been asked of by loan originators that are at banks, at credit unions, at mortgage companies. This is a service that loan originators want and need. We on this call are not the exception. And I also want you to understand, if you didn't know this already, housing counselors, HUD-approved housing counselors and credit counselors got us through the housing crisis. And guess what? We're going to need them during COVID-19. And I wanted all of you to know that there's a new tab on the website that is going to keep you up to date with COVID-19 news. And I would personally like to thank the HUD Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee and all of the mortgage and counseling colleagues that I've worked with, credit reporting agencies and real estate industry professionals who've made this pilot start. It started in Tampa Bay, but now we're ready to roll everywhere else. So with that, we've got time for questions, and here's the presenters if any of you would like to contact them.
Fantastic. All right, guys, great stuff, great materials, great opportunity. So I'm gonna start off with, we have a bunch of people asking the same question, and right off the bat, everyone wants to know, how much has COVID-19 impacted these programs? Some people are saying, I see, that they believe funding has dried up with some of these programs. Can you guys talk a little bit about the opportunity considering COVID-19?
I would like to take that one. Number one, wholesaler down payment assistance is still out there, even though we've seen that there have been some DPA programs that the offices have closed because they're actually working on COVID-19 issues. So we still have DPA. And as far as the counseling, we're talking about a fee for service where we're paying these counselors for their services. And just for those of you that want to know, we're looking at $275 to $375 per client. So that's what kind of a credit you would be giving these clients back at closing. So I'm seeing not an issue with it. Anybody else got something to say about that?
I think.
Well, I'll just add about the federal level. There's a lot of money that came out of the CARES Act, and that is through CDBG and ESG. And those funds at the municipal level, state and municipal level, it's up to them how they decide to use those funds, but it certainly can be dedicated to down payment. If you're thinking about that there's a need for that, I would encourage you to reach out to your local representatives and let them know. if you get CDBG money from the CARES Act, we think that one of the things you should be investing in is down payment assistance. And then there's also money that has been put into the HEROES Act that passed the House. And now the Senate is talking about funding and how they'll address something similar, a same as kind of bill as the HEROES Act. So more to come on that. The housing counseling agencies are open. They're working from home.
Wonderful. So next question is, I'm a broker in California, primarily use GSFA or Cal HFA or Chinoa. I'm wondering if you have access to city and county programs in California that work with brokers.
Dozens, if not hundreds. And yeah, you can go to downpaymentresource.com as a start and just do a search. Or in California, we have a partnership with the California Association of Realtors. Go to finddownpayment.car.org. That's your state association site. There's a widget there that lets you search anywhere in the state. But there are a lot of home funded, CDBG funded, or in California, Cal Home funded programs that are available through wholesale channels. Also, check with your wholesale partner. They'll tell you which ones they will allow you to originate and sell to them.
Fantastic. All right.
And you can connect with housing counseling agencies too, who you'll have to connect with about those home and CDBG funded down payment programs anyway. So, because you'll need to get them to provide the counseling that's required.
We're all connected.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So listen, I am sorry, there's a bunch of more questions that we did not get a chance to get to. And if you've come to our NMP webinars, we try to be a good steward of your time and make sure we're in and out of these inside of 60 minutes. But I promise you, all your questions will be answered. Might take a little bit of time. We've got a lot of people that connected with us today. But do me a favor, take a screenshot of the presenters so you can get a hold of them. If you haven't already started contacting them and write their information down, get a hold of them, reach out to Pam, reach out to Dan, reach out to Sean, reach out to Ellie, and make sure actually you thank them actually for their time, and you'll receive a follow-up email for this. A couple of people asking if this was recorded, and yes, it was, and you will receive a copy of the recording. So without further ado, you guys want to just give a goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Hope you learned a lot.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another NMP webinar. Hopefully you found this very resourceful. I hope you found some great ideas for your business. I think you see actually how we're underutilizing the credit counselors. Great opportunity for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.